All right, today we're going to work on chapter 3 and 4 review, the final day, which is day 6. I'd like you to take out your red pen and fill in this idea up here at the top of your notes. So if you're wondering at all what section this came from your notes, it comes way back from chapter 4 in 4.6. That's where today's lesson is from, okay? It says to solve the inequality and graph the solution. Read to me what you guys are writing in red. Go ahead. If the last thing you do is multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides, you flip the sign. Okay, so last week we talked about inequalities, but we didn't have any opportunities when we flipped the sign. Let's check it out today to see if we do now. First things first, everybody, identify your variable. X. What is not allowing X to be alone? Divide by 5. How do I get rid of divide by 5? Multiply by 5. What you do to one side? All right. So on the left-hand side, we have x times 5 divided by 5, which just means we're going to be canceling this out, and I am left with 1x, or plain old x. I'm going to drop down the less than or equal to sign, and now I need to work this problem out. Guys, what's negative 3 times positive 5? Negative 15. Because there was only one negative number, my answer has to stay negative. Class, should I flip the sign?
Yes.
Why? It says if the last thing you do is multiply by a negative number on what? Did I multiply by a negative number on both sides? No. So should I flip the sign? No, I should not. Keep that sign exactly how it is. All right, guys. So how many numbers should be on our number line? 3 of them. What number goes in the middle? Negative 15. What is one smaller than negative 15? Negative 16. What's one bigger? Addison, is this going to be open or closed circle? A closed circle. Remember, anytime there's an equal sign, that means the answer could also be negative 15. So we put a closed circle there. Kyla, should I go to the right or to the left? All solutions are less than, which means it should go to the left. Okay, let's go on to the next one, problem B. There is something completely wrong with this problem. Who can tell me by raising their hand what is wrong with the problem? Dariana, what's wrong with it?
It's like swapped.
It's swapped. The variable is on the right side, and we don't want the variable on the right side. We need it to be on the left side. So in order for it to be switched, I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to put the negative 3 on the right. But because I switched those numbers, what do I need to do with the sign? I also need to switch the sign. All right, guys, if I am trying to get rid of multiply by a fraction, what should I do? Divide by a fraction. So this is what it's saying. I'm going to be taking 2/3 and dividing 2/3. But we have learned before we cannot divide fractions. What do we have to do? You have to do KFC. So you keep the first, you flip the second, and then you change the operation. So if I were to do all of that, that means I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so I can skip this whole step down here, and instead I'm just going to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. What is the reciprocal, guys?
3
halves.
3 halves. Okay, what happens on the left-hand side?
It crosses out.
It cancels out, and I'm left just with P is less than. What happens over here?
You take the 3 and put it on that over a 1, and then you multiply 3 over 1 times 3 over 2.
Okay, when you multiply those together, what do you get?
Negative 9 over 2.
Negative 9 halves. All right, guys, if I was to change that to a decimal, what would negative 9 halves be?
4.5.
Okay, negative 4.5. So that's going to be our answer. You also could have kept it as negative 4.5, but just remember you don't want to leave something improper if it started off proper up here in the top problem. Okay? Anson, what number goes in the middle? Negative 4.5. Kaylin, what number is 1 smaller?
Negative 4.1.
That's not smaller. Justice?
Negative 1.5.
negative 5.5. What would one bigger be, class? Negative 3.5. Gerard, open or closed circle? It is an open circle. And Zion, should my arrow go to the right or to the left? To the left, because it says all solutions are less than negative 4.5. All right, guys, let's look at this first problem here. What's not allowing x to be alone? Multiply by negative 4. How do I get rid of multiply by negative 4? Divide by negative 4. Okay, so here's what I saw. As I walked around, I saw some people had just divided by positive 4. If there is a negative 4 here that you're multiplying by and we're trying to get rid of it, you have to divide by the same exact integer. Okay, so this now cancels out and we are left with x is less than, and a few people struggled with this. Guys, if I have two negative numbers and I'm dividing, should my answer be positive or negative? Positive. It should be positive. Now, do I need to flip the sign?
Yes,
Why?
because the last thing we did was divide by a negative number.
The last thing I did was divide by a negative number on both sides. Because that's the case, the rule that we talked about today says I have to flip the sign, so the correct answer would be x is greater than 3. How many of you would say you did that? Okay, if you did not, that's okay. Erase it and fix it. Now we've got our graph. We have 3 in the middle, 2, 3, 4, and this now tells us that all solutions are greater than 3, which means it needs to go to the right. All right, first things first, guys, what's wrong with this?
It's on the wrong side.
The variable is last. It's on the right-hand side. You always want your variable to come in on the left side, okay? So I am switching my numbers, which means I also have to change this sign to the opposite sign. How many of you would say you did start off like that? Okay. How do I get rid of that divide by 10?
Multiply by 10.
Multiply by 10 on both sides. Now this is still a section where it is not a calculator section. So if I have a negative times a positive, is my answer going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
A negative. So I'm just going to slip that negative sign in there. Now if you are looking at a multiple choice test and you see that it says m is greater than or equal to something positive, that's when you would know, oh, that's not going to be one of my options, okay? So now that we're looking at this, I have 0.5 and I need to multiply it times 10. What's the answer?
0.050.
Okay, so then if I simplify all of that, I just get negative 5 because I don't need that 0 and I don't need that 0.
I
Now,
thought you would have to move the decimal.
all right, guys, do I need to flip the symbol?
No,
Why not?
because it's not, you didn't divide by a negative number.
I didn't multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides. This side I did multiply by a negative, but this side I was multiplying by a positive. So I do not need to flip the symbol. How many of you would say this was the answer that you got? Okay, if it wasn't, just erase it. Now, negative 5 goes in the middle. What's one smaller?
Negative 4. Negative 6.
Negative 6, and then negative 4 is bigger. Open or closed circle?
Close.
It is closed because there's an equal to sign, and this tells me that all solutions are greater than negative 5. Which direction is greater than? Going to the right on a number line is always greater than. How many of you got that correct, including the graph? Okay, once again, if you didn't, that's okay, but erase it and fix it so you've got the correct notes. All right, so it seems like quite a few of us got this correct. Let's just go over it real quick. We have to divide by 6 on both sides. Should I flip the sign? No, why not?
Because it's not a negative number. It's
I divided by a what?
a positive number.
A positive number on both sides. Negative 3 goes in the middle, negative 4 on the left, and negative 2 on the right. It is open circle going which direction? Going to the right. How many of you would say that's what yours looks like? Excellent work. All right, let's go on to the next one. Justice, help me with this one. Okay, before I divide by 2.5, what do I want to see you do? Okay, we are going to flip the entire problem because the variable is on the right-hand side. So I'm flipping the sign. and the numbers. Okay, now Justice, what should I do? Good job. We're going to divide by 2.5 on both sides. On the left side, we know 2.5 divided by 2.5 will cancel out, and I'm just left with r is greater than. Now we're just going to come over here, 15 divided by 2.5. If you remember, I am not allowed to have a decimal over here, so what do I do with it? Move it over just one place to the right, which means this one is also going to get moved over to the right. So now I've got 150 divided by 25. Guys, how many times can 25 go into 150? She says, is it 6 or 7? Let's try it out. 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So it is 6. All right, so guys, is there anything else I need to do with the r is greater than 6? No, I did not divide by a negative number on both sides, so that's the correct answer. Heather, what number goes in the middle? What's to the left? What's 1 smaller than 6? 5. What goes to the right? Aubrey, open or close circle? Anson, should it go to the right or the left? It should go to the right. Okay, let me have you guys try this last problem on your own. Looking at this problem, I saw a bunch of different answers in our class. First things first, what do I need to do to start off my problem? Flip the whole thing. Negative y divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 0.5. Now there's an issue, okay? I don't want y to have anything with it, including a negative. So here's the deal. This negative right here can either be attached to the numerator or to the denominator. Because I want y to be by itself, I am not going to attach that negative to the numerator. I'm going to attach it to the denominator, okay? So, how do I get rid of divide by negative 2?
Multiply by negative 2 on both sides.
Multiply by negative 2. A lot of people were just multiplying by a regular 2. We're trying to also get the y by itself by getting rid of that negative. Now this cancels out, and I'm left with y is greater than or equal to, off to the side, guys, what's 0.5 times negative 2? Okay, negative 1. Negative 1.0, but you don't need that 0.0 part. Was the last thing I did multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides?
Yes.
Yes, so what do I need to do?
Flip the sign.
Flip the sign.
Yay.
All right, so negative 1 goes in the middle. What goes to the left?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. What's to the right?
0.
0. Open or close circle?
Close.
It is a closed circle. All solutions are,
To the left.
it says less than, so it's going to be to the left. Was there anybody who got that correct? All right, once again, this is a tricky one. Okay, so beyond today, we're going to start going through all of the problems on our review sheet. But tonight, your homework is to do the next 10 problems, numbers 21 through 30.